The Green Basil Smash is one of the most popular modern classic cocktails, for good reason. It's so delicious, I've already made it 3 times on the channel already. The classic, clarified and limoncello versions, to be precise. But last year I tried something that made me think, can we make the Basil Smash even better? I tried a cocktail with a Purple Basil Cordial, an elevated herbal gin and tonic, and it made me think, is Purple Basil the key to the best Green Basil Smash? I'll tell you when we reach the bottom of the glass. But first, hit the subscribe button below, turn on the bell, and get notified every week when I say it's cocktail time. So where did I first try this interesting gin and tonic? Was it one of the cocktail capitals of the world? New York? Mexico City? London? Barcelona? No, it was here, in Almaty, Kazakhstan. I was invited to Kazakhstan together with one of the most influential people in the cocktail industry, Laucke, aka the Cocktail Man. In Astana, we hosted a masterclass which was attended by more than 500 people, and in Almaty, we both had a guest shift at a Beast's Knees bar. Alongside learning about local traditions, we also checked out some other cocktail bars, including the Archive bar, where I tried the Purple Basil Gin and Tonic. That was back in October, but for me to show you this cocktail, I needed to get my hands on some purple basil, which proved so difficult, I needed to grow my own to test the recipe. Better late than never, right? So once you found it, this is how you make the key ingredient for today's 2 cocktails. The Purple Basil Cordial. You'll need the purple basil, water, sugar, lime juice, citric and malic acids, and agar-agar to make it clear. Start off by blanching the basil. I have 60 grams here. Place the basil in boiling water for 5 seconds, then it goes straight into an ice bath for 1 minute. The short time in boiling water is to make sure we're not losing too much of the color there. With blanching, we'll also make sure the flavors stay fresh in our cordial. Once the blanching is done, just remove some of the bigger stalks and place the basil leaves in the blender. Then add the other ingredients, starting with 650 grams of water. At this point, you'll realize this jug is way too small, so let's pour it into a bigger one. The cordial will add sweetness and acidity to our cocktails, so we first need 324 grams of sugar and 135 grams of lime juice, freshly squeezed or super juice. Either way, you'll see the nice color change, which, as we covered in the color changing cocktails episode, is due to the pH change. Next, to boost the acidity, 13 grams of citric acid and 11 grams of malic acid, which are the same acids you'll find in limes as well. Now you'll realize again that even if the sugar melts, you still don't have a big enough blender jug, so let's pour this into the big boy blender pitcher. Then it's finally time to blend for about 60 seconds. These volumes will yield about 800 ml or 27 ounces of cordial, because some of it will get caught during clarification and filtration, which is the next part. For that, we'll need to add and hydrate 2.4 grams of agar-agar, a stabilizing and thickening agent made from red algae. I don't want to heat up the whole cordial, so I'll add about a quarter of it to a pan with agar-agar and whisk constantly as I bring this up to a simmer over medium heat. It's crucial for agar to fully dissolve and hydrate, as that will make the clarification possible. Once it starts simmering, turn off the heat and whisk in the rest of the cordial to cool down the mixture. To fully chill it down, I'll pour it into a bowl and place it in the same ice bath I used for the basil before. You can also place this in the freezer, of course. Maybe you'll make less of a mess than what I'm doing today. Give it at least an hour, and once it thickens, which you'll see as you break it apart slightly, it's time to filter it through a cloth filter. And I guess this really is one of those days when nothing goes right. So I hope you have a better measuring cup to pour from than I do. And as always when filtering, I'll check if the first part is completely clear before the solids create an additional filter. This time it is. So instead of refiltering this basil cordial, I'll pour it with the rest in the bottom of this pot. Then just let the rest of it filter through. It will take some time, especially if you want to get the maximum yield. But once it's done, you can bottle it up, add a label, and store it in the fridge. I'd recommend using this in 2 weeks, but it should be good for up to a month. As always, you can freeze it if you need it for longer. This can then be used to make pre-batch Purple Basil Smash cocktails. You can use the cocktail calculators on kevincots.com to get the amounts right for your bottles. But first, let's make and try the gin and tonic I tried at the Archive bar in Almaty. With the cordial done, it's basically as simple to make as your classic G&T. Into a chilled highball glass over a tempered clear ice spear, I'm adding 1.5 ounce or 45 ml of London Dry Gin. Beefeater is the workhorse gin whenever you're talking about the classic London Dry style. Follow that with 1 ounce or 30 ml of our Purple Basil Cordial. To make the flavors pop in this elevated basil gin and tonic, I'll add 2 drops of 20% saline solution. Now top that up with 100 ml of tonic water, If you want to be precise, a scale is your friend. I'll just eyeball half of this small bottle. Mix the ingredients with a gentle turn and a lift with a bar spoon. Then add the garnish, a wedge of lime. The bright green color complements the purple from our cordial, making for a beautiful and refreshing cocktail. A quick sip before we move on to the Purple Gin Basil Smash. Cheers! A richer G&T that offers sweet herbal flavors of basil and a hint of spiciness. At the same time, it's nicely balanced even with the added sugar and acids. A wonderful G&T. But most importantly, that cocktail is the reason we're making this next one, the Gin Basil Smash purple version. And you can of course make this without the cordial as well. Just model the basil in the shaker the same way you would with a classic green basil. Basically, it's a 2 ingredients cocktail that can easily be batched, with a little extra on the top for flavor. To keep it clear, I'll be throwing the cocktail instead of shaking it. So ice goes into the small tin, and into the large shaker tin, I'm first adding 1.5 ounce or 45 ml of gin. This time Monkey 47 Schwarzwald Dry Gin with 47 botanicals, including lingonberries, and sitting at 47% ABV or 94 proof. Then it's 1 ounce or 30 ml of our Purple Basil Cordial, providing the needed sweetness, acidity, the basil flavor, plus a lot of color. To boost the flavors, same way salt dust in cooking. Let's add 2 drops of 20% saline solution. Then proceed to pouring our cocktail into the small shaker tin with ice. And back, holding back the ice with a strainer. Increase the distance and you'll also notice the amount of liquid increase, as the cocktail gets diluted but also nicely chilled. With the added aeration, you just can't get with stirring. But as you pour it into a chilled glass or a clear ice sphere, you'll notice it's still clear, in a way a shaken cocktail wouldn't be. I'll finish it with a float of creme de violet. 1 bar spoon will be enough. For garnish, we can go with anything other than a purple basil leaf. Beautiful. If you'd like more floral notes on the aroma, you can use the violet liqueur as a spray. The taste of Purple Basil Smash is similar to the classic, but here it gives a subtle floral and at the same time herbal feel. It's full-bodied and pleasantly sweet. But is it better than the original? Now that we've reached the bottom of the glass, it's time for some Basil Smash reflection. The classic one has gained world fame for a reason. It's bright, herbal and balanced. Purple Basil Smash has a bit more nuance to it, with the floral notes complementing the herbal ones. All in all, they are very similar, but I would say that the Green Basil Smash is more of a daytime drink, while the purple one is for an evening treat. But I wouldn't sleep on the clarified Basil Smash either, which brings a surprising amount of flavor for a clear cocktail. And the limoncello version wasn't bad either, if I can say so myself. Check out those 2 versions here. And here. I'll see you next week. Friends of Cocktails. Cheers.